So a very good evening and welcome to today's live session all of you. So this is Gayatri here. As you all know, today is a concept session and these sessions are held exclusively for the titanium students, and in today's session we are going to be discussing two topics, that is equations followed by LCM and HCF, both topics from quantitative ability. So I am sure all of you are aware that these concept sessions are done exclusively for titanium students, and in this session we will be taking up a particular topic or a few topics in a session, and we will be discussing the topic in depth from the basics, and we will also be solving questions from the topic. Let's start. So the first topic that we are going to be seeing today is equations, okay, followed by LCM and HCF. Now before we start, first let us just discuss a few basics about equations. Generally equations, you have two types, correct, or questions pertaining to equations that come generally in exams. Either you will have linear equations or quadratic equation. So what are linear equations? Linear equations are equations wherein the maximum power of the given variable is always 1. Such equations are called as linear equation, and then quadratic equation are equations wherein the highest power of the variable is always 2. Okay, so let me just share my screen. We'll just write down a few basics about equation, and we'll see how do we solve these equations, and then we'll go about solving the questions that will come from this section. Okay. So as I said, the first topic that we are going to be seeing today is equations. Okay. See, equations, you have linear equations, quadratic equation, cubic equations, etc. But from this particular topic, generally you have questions on linear equations or either quadratic equations. Now as I said, linear equation is an equation of the wherein the highest power of the variable is equal to 1. See, let us say an equation of the form ax plus b is equal to c. Right, this is a linear equation, and a linear equation in one variable. See, there is only one variable x. I hope you know x is the variable here, correct? See, some equation like this, 2x plus 1 is equal to 4. So this is a linear equation in one variable, or you can have an equation of this type, right? Ax plus by is equal to c. So this is a linear equation in two variables. So generally, how do we solve linear equations? See, if it is an equation in one variable, you can directly solve by taking constants to one side, x, that is the variable terms, to the other side, and get the answer, right? If it is an equation in one variable, it's very easy to solve. Now if the equation has two variables, then you will need two such equations to solve and get the answer. Okay, I hope all of you know all this. and just brushing up on the basics that we have learnt in school. Okay, so if you have two linear equations, right, with variables x and y, then you can directly solve and get the answer. You can either use a substitution method or an elimination method to arrive at the answer. Now the next important type of equations that you should know is a quadratic equation. So what is a quadratic equation? Where the highest power of the variable in the given equation is 2, then you call that as a quadratic equation. What is the general form of a quadratic equation? Ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So what is the highest power of the variable here? X squared, that is 2. Correct? Such equations are called as quadratic equation. Now, and here you know that a should not be equal to 0. Similarly, here a should not be equal to 0. Correct? Now, how do you solve quadratic equations? That is the next important thing. Okay, see, linear equations you know how to solve, right? See, you have two equations. Let's say, let me write it here, 2x plus y is equal to 6, and you have one more equation, okay, 3x minus y is equal to 10. So how do you solve these equations? Just if you add these two equations, this y gets cancelled, correct? You can find the value of x. So if you add these two equations, you will get 5x is equal to 16. You can find the value of x, substitute that in one of the equations and get the value of y. So this is the general way in which you solve equations which has two variables, like linear equations having two variables. Similarly, I told you, if you have a linear equation which has only one variable, you take the constant terms to one side, the variable to the other side, you get the answer. Now when it comes to quadratic equation, how do you solve it? See, there are a few methods in which you can solve a quadratic equation. Now the basic method that we would have all learnt in school is the method wherein you find the roots of an equation like this, right? The roots is given by the formula minus b plus or minus root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So if you apply the constants, right, the given coefficients here. If you apply these given coefficients here in this formula, you get the roots of the given equation. Right. Now let me just see, this is one way of solving the quadratic equation, that is by using the formula. Okay. Now the next way of solving is by using factorization method. Okay. Now factorization method is comparatively easier than this formula method, because formula method actually consumes time, right? So factorization would be a better method to follow for aptitude tests, because we don't have much time, right? We will have to arrive at the answer faster. Now in this factorization method, again in factorization methods there are a few steps that are generally involved. You will have to write 4 or 5 steps to arrive at the answer. So what I am going to be doing today is I am going to be teaching you a sign method, right, along with this factorization, so that you are able to arrive at the answer faster. Okay. So while doing this factorization, we will make use of the sign method to arrive at the answer faster. Okay. So we will directly look into this method. So I hope all of you know this method, right? Using formula, how you can find minus b. See, I'll just take one equation and I'll solve it using the formula also. See, let me take an equation, x squared minus 7x plus 10. That is equal to 0. So if I am using the formula here, what are the coefficient of x? That is b. See, this is of the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So what is b? B is 7 here. So I put plus 7 minus b, correct? So here minus 7 minus of minus. So it will become plus. Plus 7 plus or minus root of b squared is 49. Minus 4 into a into c. A is 1, c is 10. So minus 40 divided by 2a, a is 1. So this is equal to plus 7 plus or minus, you have 49 minus 40, that is 9 by 2, correct? So what are the two roots that you have? See, not 9, root of 9, correct? Root of 9 is 3. So you have 7 plus 3, that is 10 by 2, or 5. 5 is one root, 7 minus 3 by 2, that is 4 by 2, or 2 is the other root. So this is the normal way, or using the formula, how you solve a quadratic equation. Okay, so this is the formula method to solve the equation. Now let us see how to solve this equation using the factorization method. Now using the factorization method, how you solve it is, see, any quadratic equation that is given to you, okay, can be written in this form. See, if I am assuming that I have a quadratic equation whose roots are alpha and beta, right? If I know the roots of the quadratic equation are alpha and beta, then I can say that the equation can be represented in this form. X squared minus sum of the roots, okay, plus product of the roots, right, that is equal to 0. Now, right, this is one thing that you should know about quadratic equation. Any quadratic equation you can represent it in this form, right? X squared minus sum of the roots into x plus product of the roots is equal to 0. Similarly, now if you have a quadratic equation whose roots are alpha and beta, then you can say that the equation can be represented like this: x minus alpha into x minus beta, that is equal to 0. Okay, just keep these two things in mind. Now, let us try to solve this given equation using factorization. So, what is the given equation here? You have x squared minus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0. So, how do you solve this by factorization? See, you have to basically find the values of x, or you have to find the roots. So, basically what should you do? You should find two numbers, okay, whose sum is 7 and product is 10. Right? See, remember, I am just making use of this concept that we learned: x squared minus the sum of the roots into x plus product of the roots is equal to 0. So what are the two numbers? When you add them, right, their product should be equal to 10 and their sum should be equal to 7. What are the two numbers? The two numbers are definitely 5 and 2, correct? 5 plus 2 gives you 7 and 5 into 2 gives you 10. So now in factorization method, what we do is we split the middle term accordingly and write. So I write this as x squared minus 5x minus 2x plus 10 is equal to 0. Now I take the common terms outside, right? I am grouping these two, grouping the next two terms. Okay, so here I get x into x minus 5 minus 2 into x minus 5, that is equal to 0, or I can say x minus 5 into x minus 2 is equal to 0, or x is equal to 5 or 2. So this is the value of x, you get 5 and 2. 2. Now this method is fairly easy compared to the formula method, correct? But again, there are steps involved. You have to write so many steps to arrive at the answer. So this is where the sign method that I am talking about comes very, very handy. Okay, so some of you, I have seen you all in the other live sessions that we handle, right, like the refresher sessions and all. So in few of the refresher sessions, I would have taught you this method, but for those of you who are new, this sign method is very, very useful when you calculate the roots of quadratic equation. Yeah, so what this sign method does is, it helps us to find out the sign of the roots. Okay, now see, you have to memorize this table. Now it's very easy to remember. Okay, smaller br. Now here, see, you have to just put plus like this. See, it's like a C. Can you consider this as a C? So just put plus like this. Similarly from here. Okay. So you have to put plus in these, in like 2 C's. Okay, and then wherever remaining boxes, just put minus. Okay, now I'll tell you what this table means. What you have to remember is, first, whenever a question on quadratic equation comes, draw this table. If you have memorized it, it's very easy to understand. If you are new to, if you're not able to memorize it, draw this table, right? So just put plus like this. Remaining places, fill it with minus. Now what you do is, what this table means that if in a quadratic equation, see how is the quadratic equation? A quadratic equation is of the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Now if the sign before bx is positive and if the sign before c is positive, then the smaller root of the equation will be negative and the bigger root of the equation will also be negative. So that is what this means. Similarly, if the sign before bx is minus and the sign before c is plus, then the smaller root of this equation, that is SR means smaller root, okay, BR means bigger root. So the smaller root, SR means smaller root, similarly BR means bigger root, okay. So if bx is sign before bx is negative and sign before c is positive, then the smaller root and the bigger root of this equation will be positive. See, for example, take this question. You have x squared minus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0. So what is the sign before bx? Minus. What is the sign before c? Plus. So minus plus, the smaller root also is positive, the bigger root also is positive. Look at your answer. You got 5 and 2, correct? 5 and 2 was the answer that you got. Both the roots are positive. So basically this table tells you the sign of the roots that you will get. Now how is this very effective when you solve such a question? Now if you use this method, you can avoid all of these steps. You will get the answer in one step. That is why this method is useful. How is that? See, you have x squared minus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0. So here I need, see what you have to do is, I need two numbers whose product is 10 and whose sum is 7. Now I know 5 plus 2 is 7 and 5 into 2 is 10. So the two required numbers are 5 and 2. Now for an equation wherein the sign before bx is negative and the sign before c is positive, we know that both the roots are going to be positive. So just directly put a plus. This is going to be the answer that you get. You don't have to write so many steps. Okay, now let me explain it with one more question so that it's clearer to you. See, now this question was very easy because here there is no coefficient for x squared. There is no coefficient for x squared, so solving this question was very easy. Now let me take one more question. See, let us take a question. 21a squared minus 20a minus 9 is equal to 0. So if I have an equation like this, right, now what can I say? See, I need two numbers. Okay, see, whenever you have a coefficient, okay, for this square term, whenever you have a coefficient other than 1 for the square term, then what you do is you have to multiply these two, right? Take the product of this coefficient, that is, this is coefficient a, correct, and this is c. So take the product of these two. So what is this? 21 into 9, that is equal to 189. So I have to find two numbers whose product is 189 and whose sum is 20. Now what can be the two numbers? See, if you actually see, 27 into 7, okay, is 189 and 27 minus 7, that is equal to 20. So my roots of this equation are going to be 27 and 7. Now remember, you have a 21 here, right? Coefficient of x squared term, or here it is a squared, the coefficient of the square term is 21. So what you have to do, this 27 and 7 you have to divide it by this coefficient. Okay, just divide it by the coefficient. So these are going to be our final roots. Now just look at the sign here. So if both are negative, coefficient of bx is negative, the sign before bx is negative and the sign before c is negative, then the smaller root is going to be negative and the bigger root is going to be positive. So this is going to be your answer. So this is going to be your final roots. Okay, I hope it is clear. You can avoid writing so many steps by using this method. Right, I hope it is clear. Okay, so what I'll do is, see, sign method is generally very useful to solve questions on quadratic equation. What we will do is, we will solve 1 or 2 questions using this method, and I think it will be more clear to you. So let us take the first question for today's session. See, generally questions are of this type. You are given 2 equations. One equation is generally in terms of one variable. Say here they have given x. The second equation in terms of another variable. Here they have given in terms of y. And then you have to find the value of x and y and find the relationship between x and y. Now let us solve the first question here. So what do you have here? You have 16x squared plus 20x plus 6 is equal to 0. Now next you have 10y squared plus 38y plus 24 is equal to 0. Now first thing what I want you to remember here is that whenever you have a quadratic equation, see if you are able to reduce it any further. Okay, if you are able to reduce it further, many times calculations become easier. Okay, now here if you see, you have 16x squared, 26, all these are divisible by 2, right? So you can actually write it as 8x squared plus 10x plus you have 6 by 2, that is 3, that is equal to 0. Now you have got this equation. Now what you do is take the product of a and c, 8 and 3. Okay, here a is 8, c is 3. So what is 8 into 3? That is 24. So you have to find out 2 numbers such that their product is 24. And what is this sum? Their sum has to be 10. So what are the 2 numbers whose product is 24 and the sum is 10? You can say it is 6 and 4. Correct? 6 4s are 24. 6 plus 4 is 10. Now look at this equation here. So again, now at this point the sign table has to come to your mind, right? According to the sign table, see, let me take the previous page. So here in the required equation it has 2 plus. So sign before bx is plus and sign before c is also plus. So if it is plus plus, both the roots are going to be negative. Correct? Now before I write down, so you have 6 and 4. Before I write down 6 and 4 as the root, see, remember here the coefficient of x squared is 8. Correct? So you have to divide your answers by 8. So that will be the correct root. And you also know that both the roots are going to be negative. So your answer is minus 4 by 8. That is minus 1 by 2 and minus 3 by 4. So the required roots for value of x is equal to minus 3 by 2 and minus 1 by 2. Okay. Now next one. Let us look at this one. Okay. If you are looking at this, see, best way to do it will be try to take out 2 outside, right? You can, if you take 2 outside, you will be able to arrive at the answer faster. Now, so if I take a 2 out here, I will have, this can be reduced as 5y squared plus 19y plus 12, that is equal to 0. So I need to find out 2 numbers such that their product is 5 into 12, that is 60, and their sum is 19. So what are the 2 numbers? 15 into 4, that is equal to 60, and 15 plus 4, that is equal to 19. So my required roots are going to be 15, 4, and I have to divide them by 5 because here coefficient of y squared is 5. Divide that by 5. So if the coefficient of y squared was 1, just divide by 1, so you will get the same answer. Okay. Now here plus plus again, correct? So both the roots are going to be minus, right? Plus plus means both the roots are going to be minus. So put a minus in front, that's going to be your answer. So the value of y, you will get it as minus 3 and minus 4 by 5. So that is the value of y. Now if you look at compare the value of x and y, what can you say? See, for sure you can say that value of x is always greater than y, correct? Because here you have minus 3. If y is minus 3 and x takes any value, definitely x is greater than y. Similarly, if y is minus 4 by 5, then also x is definitely greater than y. So you can say that in this question the relationship between x and y is x is greater than y. Correct? Everybody is able to get it? So the correct answer here is x is greater than y. So let's look at the next question. Next question is here on your screen. Okay, here you have two equations, 18x squared plus 18x plus 4 is equal to 0, 12y squared plus 29y plus 14 is equal to 0. So how do you solve this? So you have 18x squared plus 18x plus 4 is equal to 0. Now I can write this as, how can I write this? See, I am taking out 2 outside, right? 2 is common everywhere, so I can say 9x squared plus 9x plus 2 is equal to 0. Now here I have 12y squared plus 29y plus 14 is equal to 0. See, when I am solving, please solve the question with me. If you are getting the answer, please give me the answer. Okay. Now, see, this is the equation that is a big, this equation has factors which will be big. So let us see how to solve it. Okay. Now, this equation is very easy. We'll solve this first and come to this. Now here, if you see, what is the product of 14 into 12? Product is 168 and the sum of the two numbers is 29. So you have to find two numbers such that their product is 168 and their sum is 29. So whenever such big numbers come, what you do is try to factorize this number that you get. See, you are getting 168 here, correct? So take 168 and try to factorize it in terms of its prime factors. Okay. So you have, or actually factorizing will do. Okay, not even prime factors required. If you can do it with prime factors, that's always better. So let's do it with prime factors. Okay, this is 8, 4, then you have 2, then you have 42, then 42 you will have 7, 7, 6 are 42, then you have 3 and 2. So these are the factors of 168. Now when you look at these factors, correct, you have to, what you have to remember is you have to club these factors, correct. See, how are you representing 168? 168 is nothing but 2 into 2 into 7 into 3 into 2. Now these factors should be clubbed in such a way that the product will the product of the two numbers will give you 168, and when you add those factors in the way which you have clubbed, you should get 29. See, let me tell you how we do it. Now what is 7 threes? 7 threes are 21, correct. Now next you have 2 into 2 into 2, 8, correct. Then you have 2 into 2 into 2. Now when you multiply all this, right, 21 into 8, 21 into 8 is 168. But what is 21 plus 8? It is 29. Okay. So if the number is very big and you are not able to find out how you split it correctly, the best way to do it will be look at the product that you get, factorize it and see in which way, if you arrange the factors, their sum will give you 29 and their product will give, and product will obviously give you 168. See in which way, if you arrange, the sum will give you 29, right. That will help you arrive at the answer faster. So now you know the two numbers are going to be 21 and 8. Here you are multiplying it by a 12, right. So you divide it by 12 here, and both are plus, means both the roots are going to be negative. Same way I have used the sign method here. So the required roots here, or the value of y, is going to be minus 7 by 4 and minus 2 by 3. Okay. Now here 9 2s are 18. Correct. So the product of the two numbers is 18. Their sum is 9. So what can be the two numbers? It can be 6 and 3. Correct. 6 3s are 18. And see, for such smaller numbers, it's very easy. Just by looking itself, you can say. So you will have 6 and 3. You have to divide both by 9. Correct. Because coefficient here is 9. And then using sign method, you can say both the roots are going to be negative. So you have minus 2 by 3 and minus 1 by 3. Right. So definitely you can say that x is greater than or equal to y. That's the answer for this question. Okay. See, if it is 2 by 3, both are equal. Otherwise, x is greater than y. If it is 1 by 3, it is definitely greater than both. Or even if it is 2 by 3 and minus 7 by 4, then also x is greater than y. So x is greater than or equal to y. That is option D is your correct answer. Let's look at the next question. See, if you know this method, solving questions on equations become very, very easy. Earlier, whenever question on equation comes, students used to feel, oh my god, it's going to take a lot of time to solve it, or if you use the formula, sometimes you don't get the factors. But this way, you're able to arrive at the answer faster. So here you have 8x squared plus 6x minus 5 is equal to 0. So that is one equation, and then the next equation is 12y squared minus 22y plus 8, that is equal to 0. So let me see who is giving me the answer for this question first. I can write this as 6y squared minus 11y plus 4 is equal to 0. Now I have to find two numbers such that their product is 40 and their sum is 6. So what are the two numbers? 10 and 4, correct? 10 4s are 40 and 10 minus 4 is 6. So the two numbers are 10 and 4, and here what you do, you have to divide it by 8 to get the answer. And since this is plus minus, how will the roots be? If it is plus and minus, the smaller root will be positive and the bigger root will be negative, okay? So again, this table we have to remember. See, that's how you put plus, then you put plus here, like this, like a C. So if you have plus and minus, then what happens? So this is going to be your smaller root, this is going to be your bigger root. The smaller root will be positive, bigger root will be negative. So this will be negative and this will be positive. So the value of x is equal to minus 5 by 4 and 1 by 2. For this question, can't be determined is the answer. Okay, let us check. 5 by 4 minus 1 by 2. You are having a plus here and a minus here, correct? So plus minus means smaller root is plus and bigger root is minus. So what is the smaller root here? 1 by 2. So that is plus and the bigger root is minus 5 by 4. Here what is the product? The product of the two numbers has to be 24 and their sum has to be 11. So what are the two numbers? You have 8 and 3, correct? 8 plus 3 is 11. 8 into 3 is 24. So your roots will be, you have to divide both of these by 6 because you are multiplying it by 6. The coefficient of the x squared term or the y squared term here is 6. Now let's look at the sign. Here it is minus plus. So if it is minus plus, both the roots are positive, correct? So one root is 8 by 6 and one root is 3 by 6, that is 1 by 2. So if you compare, this is y, correct? This is y, this is x. When you compare x and y, see 3 by 6 is 1 by 2. So when you compare x and y, you can see that when y is 1 by 2, x can be equal to y. Otherwise, x is always less than y. So I can say x is less than or equal to y, or I can say y is greater than or equal to x. See, whichever option is there here, see you have x is less than or equal to y in the given options. So your correct answer for this question is option C. Next question. Look at this question. 17x squared plus 48x is equal to 9. So here you have 17x squared plus 48x minus 9, that is equal to 0. Now you have 13y squared minus 32y minus 12 is equal to 0. So what should you do? 17 into 9, correct? So you have to find two numbers whose product is 17 into 9 is 153, correct? 153, sum is 48. So you have to find out two numbers whose product is 153 and their sum is 48. Similarly, you have to find out here again product of 13 into 12 is 156 and their sum is 32. So you have to find two such numbers. Again, this 153 and all is a very big number, correct? Factorize this number. See, you know 17 into 9 is 153. So definitely 17 has to go. So this is 9. So I am writing it in terms of its prime factors. So I have something like this. Now try to now see if I arrange it in what way I will get the answer correctly. See, their product is 153 and their sum is 48. So if I have to get 48, see if I club this 17 and 3, what is 17 into 3? 17 into 3 is 51. And what is 51 minus 3? 51 minus 3 is 48. Similarly, 51 into 3 is 153. Correct? So my criteria is satisfied here. So here I can say that the two numbers that I am looking at is nothing but 51 and 3. Now again next you have to look at the sign of the roots. So you have a plus and a minus, that is sign before bx is plus and sign before c is minus. So your smaller root will be positive and your bigger root will be negative. So this has to be positive and this has to be negative. Also here you have to divide these two by 17 to get the exact value of the roots, correct? So these are going to be your roots, minus 51 by 17 and 3 by 17. So x is equal to minus 51 by 17 and 3 by 17. Now next let us look at y. Similarly here also in y, if you see, y is again a big number, right? Product is a big number. So you have 156. You know 156 is divisible by 13. So 13 here 12, correct? 12 will go 3 times. 12 threes are 4, 2, 2. Now these are your factors, 13 into 3 into 2 into 2. Now see in which way if I club these factors, the product becomes 156 and the sum becomes 32. So how can I club these? See, what is 13 into 3? 13 threes are 39, correct? Now I have 39 minus 4. No, that won't work. You have to basically put and check. No. See, take 13 into 2. Yeah, that should work. See, take 13 into 2. What is 13 into 2? 26. Now you have 3 into 2, 6. So you have 26 plus 6, correct? That is equal to 32. And 26 into 6 is 156. So the two numbers that you are looking for is 26 and 6. I hope you understood how I took. See, first I tried out 13 and 3. If I try to club out, because I need two numbers in such a way that their sum has to be 32. That's what I am trying with these factors. So if I try 13 into 3 as one set, 13 into 3 will be 39. And if I make this one set, 39 minus 4 is 35. That's not working. So what I did was I tried to club this 13 and 2. Basically I am trying to club it in such a way that I get a sum of 32. So here 13 into 2 is 26. Correct? So 26 plus 6 is 32. So the two numbers that we are looking for is 26 and 6. Now here again divide by 13. That should be your answer for y. And then now how do you check for the symbol? You have 2 minus. Correct? So the smaller root has to be negative and the larger root has to be positive. So this is minus and this is plus. So the roots here are 2 and minus 6 by 13. Correct? This is the value of y and the value of x is this. But here if you see, if I take y is equal to 2, okay, if I take y is equal to 2, I can say that y is always greater than x. But if I take y is equal to minus 6 by 13, what is happening? X becomes greater than y. So basically what can I say? See, I can say that I cannot find out a relationship between x and y. So here the answer will be no relationship between x and y can be determined. So it is option E. When it comes to these quadratic equation solving, right, do not find out the exact value like this 1.05, 0.3 etc. unless it is required. Okay, only if it is required. See, if you have a fraction like this 6 by 13, I don't want you to convert it into 0.52 etc. I am saying don't do that, just stop it with this step and check, right? Don't get the exact value unless it is required. Okay, so here you can see that two cases can happen. Either y is greater than x or x is greater than y. See, whenever before we take the relationship between x and y, what you have to check is check out all the possible cases. Okay, in the previous questions it was easy, but in this question you have to check like this. See, let me put, you have to check all possibilities. How you do is, if y is 2, what can be x? X can either be minus 51 by 17 or 3 by 17. Both the cases 2 is greater than both of these. So if y is 2, I can say y is greater than x. Now if y is minus 6 by 13, and in this case take this, if y is minus 6 by 13, x can either be this value or this value. Okay, now if x is this value, right, minus 51 by 17, what happens? Minus 51 by 17 will be minus 3. Correct? Here it is minus 6 by 13. So again y is greater than x. But when x is 3 by 17 and y is minus 6 by 13, x is greater than y. So you are getting contradicting thing, correct? In one case y is greater than x, in some other case x is greater than y. So you cannot find out a relationship between x and y. So that's why we took the answer as option E. Yes? Now next question. Oh, this is a very easy one. Here see here actually the sign and all will not be required because there is only one x squared term. You just have to get the answer and compare. So here what do you do? See, you have x squared is equal to, take this constant terms to the other side. So 112 plus 132, that is 144. So what can be the value of x? X can be plus or minus 12. Now you have y minus root of 169 is equal to 0, or I can say y is root of 169. What is root of 169? It is 13. Correct? So here x is equal to 12 or x is equal to minus 12. Y is always 13. So whatever be the value of x, y is always greater than x, or I say x is less than y. So the correct answer here is x is less than y. Next question. Also a very easy one. Give me the answer fast. So how do you solve this? See, x is equal to root of 121, or I can say x is equal to 11. See, the square root of any number is always you take the positive number. Now you have y squared is equal to 121. So what can be y? Y is equal to plus or minus 11. So y can be plus 11 or minus 11. X is always 11. So I can say either x is greater than or equal to y. See, if x is 11, y is 11, both are equal. If x is 11, y is minus 11, then x is greater than y. So that's why we say x is greater than or equal to y. Whenever you have square of a number is given as 121, there are two possibilities. See, minus 11 the whole squared is also equal to 121, correct? Again, 11 squared is also equal to 121. So whenever you find the value of y, you have to take both the plus term and the minus term. So here the answer is x is greater than or equal to y. Next question. So what is the answer for this? Okay, let me solve it. Very easy question. I think I've waited enough. 3 by root x minus 4 by, plus 4 by root x is equal to root x. Correct? See here, root x is common. Now this is, the denominator is common, right? So I can add the numerators directly. This is equal to root x, or I can say 4 plus 3 is 7. So this x, if I bring it to this side, I can say 7 is equal to x. Correct? Or x is equal to 7. So that I have got. Now look at the next equation. So you have y squared minus 7 to the power 5 by 2 divided by root y. What is root y? Root y is nothing but, okay, let's take it as, y to the power 1 by 2. Correct? Root y is nothing but y to the power 1 by 2. This is equal to 0. Now if I take the LCM, what happens? I have y squared into y to the power 1 by 2 minus 7 to the power 5 by 2. That is equal to 0. Correct? This y to the power 1 by 2 will become common here. I can take it to this side, then multiply it by 0 and remove it. So this is what I am left with. So here if you see, if you have a to the power m into a to the power n, then you know this is equal to a to the power of m plus n. Correct? So I can say this is equal to y to the power of 2 plus 1 by 2. That is equal to, I am taking this 7 term to the other side. So this will become 7 to the power of 5 by 2. Or I can say y to the power 2 plus 1 by 2 is what? It is again 5 by 2. So y to the power 5 by 2 is equal to 7 to the power 5 by 2, or I can say y is equal to 7. You already got x is equal to 7. You now got y is equal to 7. So both x and y are same, or I can say x is equal to y. That is option E. Next question is there on your screen. X squared minus 87x plus minus 270 is equal to 0. Then you have 7y squared minus 11 by minus 18 is equal to 0. So give me the answer for this fast, and with that we will finish this type of questions from equations. So this is the last question from that. So you have x squared minus 87x minus 270 is equal to 0, and then you have 7y squared minus 11y minus 18 is equal to 0. So you need to find out 1 into 270, that is 270, product of two numbers whose two numbers whose product is 270 and their sum is 87. Similarly here you have to find out two numbers whose product is 18 into 7, that is 126, and their sum is 11. So see, the sign method really helps. I think you can see that very clearly, because otherwise how many steps we will be writing and to arrive at the answer. So here you have 270, actually 90 and 3, correct? 90 minus 3 is 87 and 90 into 3 is 270. Now if you are not able to get it directly, as I said, you can factorize 270 and try to try to group the factors in such a way that you arrive at this result. So you have 90 into 3 is 270 and 90 minus 3 is 87. So what are our roots going to be? It's going to be 90 and 3. Now you have both minus here. So your bigger root is going to be positive and your smaller root is going to be negative, correct? According to sign. If you have minus minus, smaller root is negative and the bigger root is positive. Now similarly you have minus minus here. So again, product of two numbers is 126 and their sum is going to be 11. So again, what are the numbers? The numbers are going to be 80. See, we know 18 into 7 is 126. Very easy to find out. 18 into 7 is 126. 18 minus 7 is 11. Correct? So the numbers are 18 and 7. Now you have to divide both by 7. Now so your answer is 1 and 18 by 7. Now out of this, the smaller root has to be negative and the bigger root has to be positive. Yes, Santosh, see, you put minus 7, it is minus 1. 7 by 7 we did know. So it is minus 1 and 18 by 7. So this is x and this is y. Now compare x and y. See, if y is 18 by 7 and x is minus 3, then I can say y is greater than x. But if x is 90 and let y be any value, I can say x is greater than y. So I am getting both. Again, I am getting x is greater than y and x is less than y. So the answer here is no relationship can be determined, that is option E. If x is 90, then x is greater than everything else. But if y is 18 by 7 and x is minus 3, then I can say that, or if y is minus 1 and x is minus 3, then I can say that y is greater than x. So both I am getting, so the correct answer is option E. Good. Now let's look at the next question. So the next type of questions that come from this is wherein you are given two quantities, okay? You are given quantity 1 and quantity 2. You have to find out the value of quantity 1 and 2 and compare and say which is the higher value, okay, which is the higher quantity. So generally in these questions on this quantity, right, finding out the relationship between quantities, you will have questions based on any other topic from quantitative ability. Let's say the question can be on time and distance. Some concept of time and distance will be used, some concept on time and work, or some concept on mensuration. So to solve such questions, you should have learned all the topics, right, because then only you will know the formulas that you will have to apply or the method that you have to follow. Now let us look at the first question. Now the first question here, given below are two quantities to be determined. Find the values of the two quantities, compare them and give the answer. Now this question is on profit and loss. Okay, so how we solve it is, first let us take quantity 1, find out the value of quantity 1. Then let us take quantity 2, find out the value of quantity 2, compare our answers. That's how we do it. Now quantity 1 and quantity 2. Now what does quantity 1 say here in this question? The profit of a fruit seller if he bought 14 dozens of bananas at the rate of 20 rupees per dozen and only 13 dozen were sold at the rate of 2.5 rupees per banana. Now quantity 2, cost price of an article which when sold at a profit of 300 by 7% gives a profit of 40 rupees more as compared to the profit when it is sold at a profit of 100 by 7%. So find out both. Here you have to find out the cost price, correct? And here you have to find out the profit that the fruit seller makes. Find both the values and compare and give me the answer. So let me start solving it. See, if I am looking at the quantity 1, now what is the price at which, or the cost price of the seller, right? See, he is buying 14 dozen bananas at the rate of 20 rupees per dozen. So 14 dozens will cost 14 into 20, correct? So it's going to buy it at 280 rupees. That is his full cost price. Now he is selling only 13 dozens. He could sell only 13 dozens and they were sold at a rate of 2.5 rupees per banana. So how many fruits, how many numbers make 1 dozen? 1 dozen is nothing but 12, correct? So one dozen bananas will have 12 bananas. So 1 banana is costing 2.5 rupees. So what will be the cost of 1 dozen? It will be 2.5 into 12. Then so like that he has sold 13 dozens. So his total selling price is going to be 2.5 into 12 into 13. Now whenever you have these numbers like 2.5, how do you take it? You take it as 5 by 2. Correct? So that you can calculate faster. 5 by 2 into 12 into 13. So this will become 6. So you have 6 5s are 30. 30 into 13 is equal to 390. So his total selling price is 390 and his total cost price is 280. So what is the profit that he makes? Profit is always equal to the selling price minus the cost price. That is here 390 minus 280, or the profit that he makes, right? That is equal to 390 minus 280, that is 110. 10. Now, let us look at quantity 2. Now, cost price of an article which when sold at a profit of 300 by 7% gives a profit of 40 rupees more as compared to the profit when it is sold at a profit of 100 by 7 rupees. So, what is this 300 by 7%? See, that is nothing but 300 by 700, correct, or 3 by 7. Yeah. So what is happening? See, the profit that I am getting when I am selling an article at a profit of 3 by 7 is 40 rupees more than that compared to the profit when it is sold at a profit of 100 by 7%. So if I say that if the cost price of the article is X, then what can I say? I can say again, what is 100 by 7%? That is nothing but 100 by 700 or 1 by 7th, right? I can say that 3 by 7x minus 1 by 7x. See, that is the profit that I am getting, right, in both the cases. This difference is given as 40. Or what can I say? I can say 2 by 7x is equal to 40, or my x is equal to 20 into 7, right? This will become 20, 20 into 7, that is 140. So, here the quantity 2 is now 140 and the quantity 1 is 110. So, which is the bigger one? Definitely quantity 2 is greater than quantity 1. So, that is going to be our answer. Or I can say quantity 1 is less than quantity 2, that is option A. Hope it is clear. See, I hope you understood how I took this, right? See, cost price of an article which when sold at a profit of 300 by 7% gives a profit of 40 rupees more than this thing. So, what is the profit that he has gained by selling it at this percentage? It is nothing but 300 by 700 of x. Correct. Similarly, what is the profit that he has got by selling it at this percentage? It is nothing but 1 by 7 of x. Now, this difference is given as 40. So, that is how I have taken this and I got the cost price to be 140. So, 140 is definitely greater than 110, or I can say quantity 2 is greater than quantity 1. Next question. Next question is there on your screen. So, this is on time and distance. So, this question is actually a bit calculative compared to the previous one. I think previous one calculations were very easy. Now, let us try out. So, here you have a quantity 1 and a quantity 2. Okay, now let us look at quantity 1 first. Original duration of a flight. In a flight of 3000 kilometers, an aircraft was slowed down by bad weather. Its average speed for the trip was reduced by 100 km per hour and time was increased by 1 hour. So, the quantity 1 is nothing but the original duration of the flight. See, what can you say? The distance travelled is 3000 kilometers. So, first I am assuming that, see, you know, distance is equal to speed into time. Okay. So, this 3000 is equal to the speed of the aircraft and into the time it takes to reach the place, right. So, I am just taking this, let the speed be, initial speed be s and the time taken be t, correct. Now, what is happening? The speed has reduced by 100 kilometers and the time has increased by 1 hour. Now, the distance travelled is still the same, correct, but what has happened? The speed has reduced by 100 and the time has increased by 1. Now, you have two equations and two unknowns. With this, you have to find out the value of t, that is the actual time that it took to reach the place. So, how do you solve this equation? See, you will have to bring this equation in terms of one variable, correct. See, look at this equation, 3000 is equal to s minus 100 into t plus 1. Here, if you bring everything in terms of t, then you can solve for t and find the value of t, that is the quantity 1 that is required. So, what can you substitute in place of s? See, you know 3000 is equal to st, or I can say s is equal to 3000 by t. Just put in this value here. So, what will you get? You will get 3000 is equal to, here you have 3000 by t minus 100 into t plus 1. So, now you have to expand this term and solve for it. So, what will you get? You will get I am just writing the right hand side here, 3000 plus 3000 by t minus 100t minus 100 that is equal to, you have 3000. So on the right, on this side you have 3000, I just took it there. You can cancel these two directly. So again you have 100 common everywhere, correct? Cancel those hundreds. So you are left with t squared minus t squared minus t plus 30 is equal to 0, or I can say t squared plus t minus 30 is equal to 0. Now you need to find out two variables such that their product is 30, sum is 1. So what can be the two variables? It has to be 6 and 5, correct? Again remember, you have here plus and minus, okay, before the bx term and the c term. So now what are your sign of these roots going to be? If it is plus and minus, then the smaller root is going to be positive and the bigger root is going to be negative. So these are going to be the value of t. But again, you know, the value of t has to be positive, so we take t is equal to 5. So the quantity 1 is t is equal to 5. Now let us look at quantity 2. Okay, now let me just erase this and we will find out quantity 2. So I hope you understood. We got t is equal to 5 here. Now what is quantity 2 asking? Usual time of a man who, when walks at 3/4 of his usual pace, reaches his office 20 minutes late. Now what does that mean? See, if the distance to the office is d and let him generally travel with a speed s and a time t. You know, distance is equal to speed into time. Now what is happening? The distance is still the same. So what is happening to his speed? It has become 3/4 of the earlier speed, and he is reaching the office 20 minutes late. So generally whenever such questions comes, all the whenever questions on time and distance comes, what we should do is we should try to take all the given variables, right, time, speed and distance, in terms of the same standard units. Okay, so 20 minutes is how many hours? It is nothing but 20 by 60 hours, correct? That is equal to 1/3 hours. So what can I say? So now when the speed has become 3/4 s, his time has increased by 1/3 hour, because I am going to try and find out the time in terms of hours here also. So what do you get here? Now you have two equations and two equations here, and then if you actually divide these two equations, right, what do you get? Just divide this equation 1 and 2. What will you get? This is equation 1, this is equation 2. If you divide 1 and 2, what will happen is, here you have equation 1 divided by equation 2, right? D by d, left hand side will become 1. So 1, you will have 1 is equal to st by 3/4 s into t plus 1/3. See, in this case, if I divide both the equations, one variable gets cancelled. That's why I divided it. But if you actually looked at the previous case that we did, we could not do that because we had an s minus 100 and a t plus 1 term and all. Here you can directly divide the equation. That will be the easier way to solve. So what will you have here? You will have 3/4 into t plus 1, 3/4 into t plus 1/3 is equal to t, or when you solve you get 3/4 t plus 1/3 is equal to t. So t minus 3/4 t will be what? No, sorry, you have a 3/4 here also. So actually let me expand it and write so that it's clear, instead of saying 3/4 t plus 1/4, that is equal to t, or if you take it this side, you will have t minus 3/4 t, that is 1/4 t. So 1/4 t will be equal to 1/4, or I can say t is equal to 1. That's what you get here. So here you get t is equal to 1 hour. So here t is equal to 5 hours, here t is equal to 1 hour. So the correct answer here is quantity 1 is greater than quantity 2, that is option B. Let's look at the next question. Now I think next we move to the LCM and HCF. So before we start solving the questions, let's just explain the concepts involved in LCM and HCF and then go about solving the question. Okay, so now we are going to look at LCM and HCF. Right, now let's first discuss the basics and then we'll solve the questions. Now can you tell me what is LCM? LCM is nothing but the least common multiple. Now let us say you have three numbers, let's say 2, 4 and 8. Now you have to find out the LCM of 2, 4 and 8. So what is actually LCM means? See, what are the multiples of 2? Multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, correct? 2 1s are 2, 2 2s are 4, 2 3s are 6. These are the multiples of 2, correct? 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 and so on. Now what are the multiples of 4? Similarly 4, you have 4 1s are 4, 4 2s are 8. So 4, 8, 12, 16 and so on. Then you have multiples of 8. You have 8, 16, 24, 32 and so on. Now the least common multiple is the multiple that is common to all three of these numbers and is the least. Okay, if you look here, see 2 is there here but not there here, both places. Similarly 4 is there here and here. Common to all the three numbers, 8 is common. So you have to always take the least common multiple. I am sure all of you know this, right? Now how do you calculate this? See, writing multiples like this and getting the answer in the exam is going to be very, very difficult. So generally when you have to calculate the LCM, we always use this method called as the long division method. Write the numbers for whom you have to find the LCM, write it like this. Then keep dividing these numbers by any number that will go in these numbers. See, for example, if you have 2, 4 and 8, it is divisible, all these three numbers are divisible by 2, correct? Then you have 2 by 2 is 1, 4 by 2 is 2, 8 by 2 is 4. Now you are left with 1, 2 and 4. Now by 1 no number is divisible, only 1 is divisible by 1, correct? But look at 2 and 4, 2 is divisible here. So basically you have to keep continuing this process till you get a set of numbers where there is no number other than 1 that can be divisible by any of the numbers, at least any two of the numbers. Okay, so here even though if you take 1, you can't divide it further, correct? But you have 2 and 4 here which has a common number which you can divide, which has a common factor, that is 2. So I again continue this step and I get 1, 1 and 2. Now if you have 1, 1 and 2, you can't further divide this anymore. Whatever you divide it, you will get 1 and 2 only. You can't use any number. Even if you divide it by 1, you will get 1, 1, 2. So this is going to be the final step, correct? So now if you do it through this long division method also, you get the answer as 2 into 2 into 2, that is equal to 8. Okay, I hope it is clear, guys. Now let us look at HCF. Similarly, what is HCF? HCF is the highest common factor. Take these three same numbers 2, 4, 8. So if you have to find out the HCF, the normal way in which you do is you write the factors of 2, 4 and 8. Right, now what are the factors of 2, 4 and 8? See, you have factors of what is a factor? A factor is a number by which if you divide the given number, your remainder should be 0. Correct? So here the factors of 2 are 1 and 2. Factors of 4 are 1, 2 and 4. Factors of 8 are 1, 2, 4 and 8. Now what is the common factor? Highest common factor for all these three numbers, it is 2. So HCF is 2. Now if I am calculating the HCF for these numbers using the long division method, how do I do it? See, I have 2, 4 and 8. Now 2 is common in all the three numbers. So I will get 1, 2 and 4. See, when you calculate the HCF, stop it with this step. See, now you look at these three numbers. When you calculate HCF, at every step, you should be able to find a number which will divide all the given terms correctly. Here, I can find a number 2 which is divisible by these two numbers, correct, which can divide these two numbers, but not 1. So at this point, I will stop and I should take only this value as my answer. So here the HCF is 2. Now, let me give you one more example for HCF so that it is clear. See, let us take three numbers 9, 27 and 36. Now, if I am finding out the HCF of these numbers, see, I divide it by 3. Okay, 3 is divisible in all these three numbers. So, I have 3, 9 and 12. 12 3s are 36. Yeah. Again, I divide it by 3. So, you have 1, 3 and 4. Correct? Now, as I said, you have to stop it at this point because all these three numbers should be divisible by a factor which I am not able to get. Now, what will be my HCF? My HCF is going to be 3 into 3, that is 9. Now, if for the same set of numbers, if they are asking me for the LCM, then I do 3 into 3 into 3 into 4. Okay, I hope it is clear. So that's how you generally find out LCM and HCF of numbers. Now, before we start solving the questions, there are one or two properties of LCM and HCF that you should know. See, let us assume that there are two numbers A and B, right? Now, and they have an LCM and a HCF. I can say that the product of the two numbers A and B is always equal to the product of the LCM and HCF of the two numbers. So this is one formula that you will have to, or one property that you will have to remember. Okay, and then I think remaining there are a few properties also left which we will solve when the question comes. Okay, now let's take the first question on LCM and HCF and then start solving. Yeah, the first question is there on your screen. From 3 drums of milk, 279, 341 and 465 respectively are to be drawn out. To do it in a minimum time, the capacity of the measuring can will be dash. So again, in LCM and in HCF, the most important thing is that you should be able to identify from the given question whether they are asking for the LCM or the HCF. Now, if you are able to identify that easily, then solving the question becomes easier. So, for this question, if you see, what are they asking? See, you have 3 cans, right? Each has capacity. You have to draw 279, 341 and 465 respectively from each. So, to do it in minimum time, the capacity of the measuring can be dash. So, can you all tell me whether I have to find out the LCM here or the HCF? So, here you have to find out the HCF of these numbers, okay. See, remember, because the measuring can, now if you are finding the LCM of these numbers, what will your answer be? Your answer is definitely going to be greater than these 3 numbers because you are finding out the multiples. So, here you have to find out the capacity of the measuring can. So, to remember, to measure these 3 things, right, the capacity will be definitely lesser than this, right. So, definitely they are asking for HCF, because sometimes we might get confused when looking at the question whether is it LCM or HCF, right. So, think logically, you will be able to understand which one to find out. Now, again, to find out the LCM and HCF of such, HCF of such big numbers, it is difficult, correct, because you don't know what are the factors of these numbers. Finding out is difficult. So, what you do is go with the options, check with the options and see. Now, look at the options that are given, okay. First option that is given is 271. Definitely, you know, 271 cannot be the highest common factor of these 3 numbers. Eliminate that option. Similarly, 111. See, what are 111 means? If you take 111 into 2 is 222. Then 111 into 3 is 333. Again, can that come? Will that be highest common factor of these 3 numbers? No, that can also not be. Eliminate that option. Now, you are left with 2 options, 61 and 31. Now, how do I see which of these is correct? If any of these is correct, because there is an option, none of these also. Now, try dividing each number by 61 and 31, right? That will help us arrive at the answer faster. See, 279 divided by 61. Now, here don't calculate the actual value. You need not calculate, okay? See, you know 61 into 5 is what? 305. Correct, you have 279 here. Will 279 be definitely divisible by 61? It cannot be, right? See, when you add, if 279 was exactly divisible by 61, then the next multiple of 61 should have been 279 plus 61, which will be 340, correct? So, no, here it is 305. So, definitely this is not divisible by 61. So, again you can say that this option is also not true. Now, look at 31. Now, what is 279 by 31? 279 by 31. 31 into 9 is 279. Okay. Similarly, if you have 341, 341 divided by 31, that is 341 divided by 31 is 11. Similarly, you have 465 divided by 31. It should be 15, correct? 15. So, if you can see, these 279 you can write it as 31 into 9, this is 31 into 11, this is 31 into 15. So, definitely the highest common factor has to be 31 and nothing else. So, the correct answer is option D. So, for such questions, look with the options and arrive at the answer. So, again, see, none of these is not true. Why? Because all these numbers, no, they can be represented as 31 into 9, 31 into 11, 31 into 15. No other factor bigger than 31 is there in any of the 3 numbers. It cannot come also. So, definitely the correct answer is 31. Okay. So, for this question, the best way is to check with the options and go with the answer. Next question. Let me see who is giving me the answer for this question. This is a very easy question. Only thing, there is a small trick, some rearrangement you have to do to arrive at the answer. That's all. The LCM of 2 numbers is 630 and their HCF is 9. If the sum of the numbers is 153, their difference is dash. So, what is given here? There are 2 numbers whose LCM is 630 and their HCF is 9. Now, the sum of the 2 numbers, let us take the 2 numbers as A and B. So, you know A plus B is equal to 153. Now, here since nobody is giving me the answer, I am going to go ahead solving it. If you get the answer in the middle, please let me know. So here, see, what do you know? You know the LCM and the HCF of the two numbers. Now I told you a property, right? The product of the two numbers is always equal to the product of the LCM into the HCF, right? So if these two numbers are A and B, I can say A into B is equal to 630 into 9, correct? That is 630 into 9. Now, what should you do here? See, you know this formula, right? I have to find out the value of A minus B. See, I know AB, I know A plus B, I have to find out A minus B. So, what do you use here? You use the concept of algebra here, okay? Now, if you have A minus B the whole squared, how do I express A minus B the whole squared in terms of A plus B the whole squared? I can say A minus B the whole squared is equal to A plus B the whole squared minus 4AB. Correct. Now I know all these values, just put in the values and find out the value of A minus B, that's all. So you have here A plus B is what? 153, correct. So you have 153 whole squared minus 4 into 630 into 9. So this is what is A minus B the whole squared. So here if you actually solve it, you will get it as 729. You can solve that and check. So A minus B will be equal to 27. So the correct answer here is option C. That is 27. Now, next question. Okay, this was the types that I was talking about. See, in this LCM and HCF, there are a few types of questions that you should know. Okay, sometimes when these type of questions comes, there are some rules that we use. Directly by using those rules, you can arrive at the answer. If you see in our video lessons, right, we would have divided these into different models, like model 1, model 2. Each model will represent one type of question. Okay, so I'll just explain those models one by one before we solve this question. So let us say the first model is like this. See, the least number which when divided by A, B and C leaves the same remainder R. Okay, same remainder R in each case is always given as LCM of A, B and C plus R. Okay, so in questions, if you have something like this, right, find out the least number which when you divide by the following numbers leaves the same remainder. What is the number? In such cases, this is the concept to be followed. Just find out the LCM of the given numbers, add it to the remainder. Now, this particular question that is there on your screen follows the same concept. Okay. Now, you have to find out the least number which when divided by all of these numbers will leave a remainder in each case as 1. So, what should I find out? I should just find out the LCM of the given numbers 18, 24, 30 and 42 and add it to 1. That will give me my answer. What is to be done? So, find out the LCM of 18, 24, 30 and 42. So, here in all these numbers 3 will go. So, you have 6, then 8, 10, here you have not 3, 2. 2 will go. You will have 3, 4, 5, 7. Multiply all this. 3, 4, 5, 7, nothing is common. So, 3 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5 into 7. So, if you actually multiply these, you will get the answer as 2520. Yeah. So, you will get 2520 plus 1. That will be your answer. That is 2521. That is option A. Okay. That is your correct answer for the question. Now, similarly, there are also other models. See, sometimes in the question, no, they will give that. Let me explain that also here. Let me just write down something so that it's easier to explain. See, if you have the least number, okay, which when divided by these numbers A, B and C leaves a remainder P, Q and R, and in such a way that if A minus P is equal to B minus Q is equal to C minus R is equal to K, then I can say that the least number that I am looking for, right, is nothing but the LCM of these 3 numbers minus K. So, I have 3 numbers A, B, C and I am dividing it by this number, this least possible number, and I get 3 different remainders respectively P, Q and R in such a way that this A minus P is equal to B minus Q is equal to C minus R. Then I can say that the least number is equal to the LCM of these 3 numbers minus K. Okay. Now, let us move on to the next question. So, these are generally the 2 types of questions that can come from LCM. Okay, wherein you are given the remainders in each cases. So, these are generally the 2 types that come. Let's look at the next question. So, 5 bells begin to toll together at intervals of 9 seconds, 6 seconds, 10 seconds and 8 seconds respectively. How many times will they toll together in a span of 1 hour? So, what should you find here, LCM or HCF? So, since there are 5 bells, no? So, you have to find out the LCM of 9, 6, 4, 10 and 8. So, what is the LCM? Here you have 3. So, the LCM that you are looking for is 2 into 2 into 3 into 3 into 5 into 2. That is nothing but 12 into 15 into 2. That is 12 into 30 or 360. So, the LCM here is 360. So, I can say that every 360 seconds the bells will ring. Now, in 1 hour they are asking how many times will they ring together. In 1 hour, how many seconds are there? 3600 seconds are there, and every 360 seconds they are ringing together. So, how many times will they ring? They will ring 10 times. So, the required answer here is option C, that is 10. Next question. Now, next question is wherein you are finding out the LCM of fractions. Okay. So, whenever you have to find out LCM of fractions, right? LCM of a fraction, okay, is nothing but find out the LCM of the numerator and divide it by the HCF of the denominator. That will be your answer. Okay, if you have to find out LCM of fractions, just find out the LCM of the numerators divided by the HCF of the denominator. Like for example, for this question, the LCM of this fraction is nothing but the LCM of, what is the numerator? 1, 2 and 4. 1, 2 and 4 divided by the HCF of 2, 3 and 5. HCF of 2, 3 and 5. That's your answer. So, what is the LCM of 1, 2 and 4? You know it is 4, correct? So, what is the HCF of 2, 3 and 5? Again, if you 2, 3 and 5 are very easy numbers, right? If you look at the factors directly, you can say all these are prime numbers also. So, the highest common factor will be 1. So, the required LCM is 4. This is how you calculate the LCM of fractions. Similarly, if you have to find the HCF of fractions, what you do is, HCF of fractions is nothing but the HCF of the numerator divided by LCM of the denominator. So, here for this question, the HCF is equal to the HCF of the numerator. Numerator is again 1, 2 and 4. The LCM of the denominator, that is 2, 3 and 5. So, what is HCF of 1, 2 and 4? HCF of 1, 2 and 4. So, HCF of 1, 2 and 4 is 1, and LCM of 2, 3, 5 is what? 2, 3 and 5 is 30, correct? Because 15 will not come, because why? 15 is not a multiple of 2. So, 30. If you can actually try it out if you want, it will be 30. So, 1 by 30 is the answer. Let us look at the next question. Yeah, so this was the question that I was discussing earlier, no? I told a method, right, a model. Actually, it is the model 4 in the video lesson, right? If you have numbers A, B and C, if you divide it by another number, the least possible number, and you get reminders P, Q, R in such a way that A minus P is equal to B minus Q is equal to C minus R is equal to K, then you can say that the number that you are looking for is nothing but the LCM of the given numbers minus the minus this difference. A minus P is equal to B minus Q is equal to C minus R, that is K. So, this is the method that you have to follow. So, for this question, what should we find out? You have to find out the LCM of 27, 36, 81 and 108 minus, now if you see 27 minus 22, what is A minus B? This is of the form that we have discussed earlier, okay. See what is 27 minus 22, 5, 36 minus 31, 5. 81 minus 76, 5. 108 minus 103, 5. So, this is of this form. So, I can say K is equal to 5 here. So, LCM of these numbers minus 5. That is going to be your answer. So, find out the LCM of these numbers. See, to find the LCM, you have to do this method only. 36, 81, 108. Now, 3, 9, 12, 27, 36. You can put 9 here. So, this will be 1, 12, 3, 36. If you actually put 12, then you will have 1, 1, 3 and you have 3 3s, okay. multiply these, you will get the LCM. So 3 into 9, 27 into 12 into 3. Yeah, so you get the LCM as 324. So the LCM will be 324 minus 5, correct? So that is 319. Okay, so this is model 4 in the video lessons. You can go and check back if you would like to solve more questions of this type. Similarly, for HCF also you have two models, okay, model 5 and model 6 in the video lessons. Please refer that. It is also very easy. Similar questions like this come wherein you have to find out the greatest number. Okay, and more or less a similar pattern method is being followed. Please refer to that. I have not included those questions alone in today's session, right? So I want all of you to go and check model 5, 6 and 7, I think. Okay, please check those models on HCF when you go back. Now, let's look at the next question. Let the least number of 6 digits which when divided by 4, 6, 10 and 15 leaves in each case same remainder 2 be n. Then the sum of digits in n is dash. See, you have to find out the least 6 digit number which when divided by these numbers will leave a remainder of 2. So how do you solve it? Anybody able to get the answer? Please give me the answer. I have to find out the least number possible. So basically I have to find the LCM of these numbers first. Let me find out the LCM of 4, 6, 10 and 15. What is the LCM? See, by looking at itself you can say that the LCM is going to be 60. Okay. In case you don't know, you will have to divide and see. I will anyway divide also. So here you have 5, so 4, 6. Because it has to be a multiple of 4, 6, 10 and 15. So we know 15 into 4 is 60, correct? Similarly, if you see that, it will, all these numbers will have that as the multiple. So in case you are not able to do that directly, you can do it this way. Then you have 2, so you have 2, 3, 1, 3, again you have 3, so that will be 2, 1, 1, 1. So 5 2s are 10. 10 3s are 30, 30 2s are 60. So your LCM is going to be 60. Now this number that you are looking for has to leave a remainder 2 in each case. Now let us look at what is the smallest 6 digit number that we know. See, it is 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. Correct? So this is the smallest 6 digit number that you know. Now first let us find out, when you divide this by 60, what is the remainder that you get. Okay. Now see, you have to find out the smallest number which will leave a remainder 2 when you divide by all of these numbers. So how can we do? See, we can find out the smallest number which is divisible by all these 4 numbers and then add a 2 to it. So that will be the number that we are looking for. Okay. So we are going to find out the smallest number which is divisible by 60, the smallest 6 digit number which is divisible by 60. So once I get the smallest 6 digit number which is divisible by 60, I can just add a 2 to it and say that this is the number that we are looking for. Okay. So 10,000 divided by, okay, let us do this itself. No, let's not divide it like this, then you won't get it correctly, right? You have to do 10 for 1 followed by 5 zeros, that is the least 6 digit number, yeah? 1 lakh divided by 60. So 100, you have 160, then you have 40, so you take the next 0, 400. So again in 400 you will have 6, so 36, so 360, again you have 40, so take this next 0, again 400, so here you have 6, again 360, so you have 40, again you take the 0, 400, so again you will have, I am just writing it here, 400, you have 360, the remainder that you get here is 40. In the last step, see, I have just written it here, that's all, taken it here and written it here because I don't have space. So what you see is that the remainder that you get here towards the end is 40. So what does that mean? If I add, okay, a 20 to this number, the number that I get will be divisible by 60. Isn't so? See, the remainder is 40 here. So to this 1 lakh, right, 1 followed by 5 zeros. If I add 20 to this, the number that I get, right, 100, 0, 2, 0. This is going to be divisible by 60. If you want, you can actually check it and see if this is correctly divisible. Okay. So here 1002 by 6, if you do, it will be correctly divisible. You needn't check, I am just checking. You have 40, 6 again, you have 40, so 6, then you have 7. So it will be 1667, right? So this 10020 is correctly divisible. So what is the number that I am looking for? Plus 2, that is 100022. So this is the number that we are looking for. Now the question is, what is the sum of digits of this number? 2 plus 2, 4, 4 plus 1, 5. So the sum of the digits of the number is option B, that is 5. So the correct answer here is option B. Okay. So how you do this question is, first let us find out the least 6-digit number that we know. We know it is 1 lakh. So now what we did was we divided this by 60, because the number that we are looking for is 2 more than a multiple of 60, right? And that it should be a 6-digit number. So I divided the least 6-digit number by 60 and found out that the remainder is 40. So using that, I found out the least multiple of 60, which is a 6-digit number, that is 100020. To that, if I add 2, that is the number that I am looking for. So which is option B, right? So the sum of the digits is 2 plus 2 plus 1, that is 5. Why am I adding 20 here is because to make this number, right, divisible by 60, if I add 20, it will become divisible by 60. See, let us take a very easy number and understand this concept. Now let me take the number 19. Right. Now if I am doing 19 divided by 3, right, 19 divided by 3 is what? 6 3s are 18. You have 1. So I have 1 here. Now to make this number divisible by 19, what should I mean? To make this number divisible by 3, see, I have only 1 here, right? If I add 2 more, okay, this number will be divisible by 9. It will be divisible by 3. See, what is 19 plus 2? See, it is 1 here. If I had actually added 2 here, if I had got 3 here, correct, this number would have been exactly divisible by 3. But I have only 1 here. So I needed 2 more to make the given number divisible by 3. That's what it means, correct? So if I do 19 plus 2, I get 21, which is divisible by 3. So same way, when we took this number 1 lakh, when I divided it by 60, I am getting 40. So what does that mean? If I had added 20 more here, correct, that means if I had added 20 here, the number that I would have got would have been divisible by 60. So that's why I add 20 to this number to make it divisible by 60. I hope it is clear now. Just check it with any small number, no, then the concept will become clear to you. Hope it's clear. So I think with that we are coming to an end of the questions chosen for today's session. So let us just recollect what we learned. First we learned equations, right? Linear equations and quadratic equations, and we also saw the different methods to solve quadratic equations. The first method was the formula method, then factorization, and we also learned the sign method, which you can use to do the factorization method faster. Followed by that, we discussed questions wherein you are given 2 quantities and you are asked to compare the 2 quantities and give the relationship between them. So with that we finished equations, then we moved on to LCM and HCF. So we learned what is LCM, what is HCF, and we also learned a few properties of LCM and HCF. There is product of 2 numbers, given numbers is equal to the product of their LCM and HCF, and then we also looked at a few models in LCM and HCF and tried solved questions on that. So what I want you all now to go back and do is please check the model 5, 6, 7. Right, that is given in your video lessons. Now these are a few models on HCF. See, it is very clear to understand, nothing much for me to explain. So I have not taken any question on that in today's session. So please go back and refer to that. Otherwise we have covered all the types of questions that can come from these topics. Okay, and I hope these sessions that we are doing for you is useful for your preparation. Make the best use of these sessions by engaging with me in these sessions so that I can help you out if you are going wrong anywhere. Okay, so that's it from us for now, and all the very best with your preparations, and I'll see you in the next session, and this is Gayatri signing off till then.